A fax machine. A warning so precise it named names, identified locations, described weapons, gave a timeline. The man who sent it had spent months watching a genocide being prepared in plain sight. He sent everything he knew. He waited for a response. The response arrived within hours. 2 words: no action. 3 months later, 800,000 people were dead. Welcome to History AI. We don't talk about history, we decode it. We believe that warning systems exist to trigger action. That if the right person sends the right information to the right institution, something happens. That the architecture of international response was built to prevent the worst things from becoming inevitable. You have followed a procedure correctly and never found out what following it correctly prevented from happening. That is not a historical phenomenon. That is Tuesday. In every organization, in every institution, in every system designed to manage risk by managing authorization first. The architecture did not fail in Rwanda in 1994. It worked exactly as designed. That is the most disturbing sentence in this entire episode. January 11th, 1994. Kigali, Rwanda. General Roméo Dallaire has been in Rwanda for 3 months. He commands UNAMIR, the United Nations Assistance Mission for Rwanda, a peacekeeping force deployed to monitor a fragile peace agreement between the Rwandan government and the Tutsi rebel movement. He has spent those 3 months watching something build. Not tension, not instability, a machine. Lists are being compiled, weapons are being distributed, militia groups are being trained, radio stations are being prepared to broadcast instructions to people who will be told exactly what to do and exactly who to do it to. Dallaire has a source inside this machine. The source tells him everything. The locations of weapons caches, the names of organizers, the timeline, the scale. What is being prepared is not a civil war. It is an extermination. Dallaire drafts a fax. He addresses it to the Department of Peacekeeping Operations at the United Nations headquarters in New York. He names his source. He describes the weapons. He identifies the locations. He requests authorization to act, to raid the weapons caches, to disrupt the network, to intervene before the machine activates. He sends it. He waits. The response arrives within hours. Do not raid the weapons caches. Do not take action beyond your mandate. Report findings to the Rwandan government. No action. Dallaire reads the reply. He understands immediately what it means. He will later write that he aged in those hours. To understand what those 2 words triggered, you have to understand what UNAMIR was. Not a fighting force, not an intervention mechanism, not a system designed to prevent genocide. A monitoring mission, deployed to observe, to report, to facilitate dialogue. Its mandate was specific, narrow, and deliberately limited because the United Nations had learned from previous interventions that peacekeeping forces operating beyond their mandate created political crises of their own. The system was designed with a principle: authorization before action, always, without exception. Dallaire's fax described an emergency. The system processed it as a request. A request requires authorization. Authorization requires review. Review requires committee. Committee requires consensus. The system did not ignore the warning. It processed it correctly. And the correct processing of the warning produced the outcome the warning was trying to prevent. April 6, 1994. The Rwandan president's plane is shot down. Within hours, the machine activates. Roadblocks appear across Kigali. Lists are checked. Radio stations begin broadcasting. The militia moves through neighborhoods with the efficiency of a system that has been preparing for months. UNAMIR watches. Its mandate does not permit intervention. In 100 days, 800,000 people are killed. Neighbors killing neighbors. Colleagues killing colleagues. A genocide conducted with agricultural tools in a country the size of Maryland. And in his headquarters in Kigali, Dallaire watches and cannot act, and does not leave. and requests authorization again and again and again. The authorizations do not come. This is where the lens shifts. When AI models the full decision architecture of the UN peacekeeping command structure in 1994, every protocol, every authorization pathway, every escalation mechanism, it does not identify a failure. It identifies a perfect execution. Here is what authorization failure modeling shows. The system was designed to prevent two things. 1. Unauthorized military action by peacekeeping forces. 2. Political exposure for member states who had not consented to intervention. Both of these goals were achieved on January 11, 1994. Dallaire's fax was processed correctly, the review was conducted correctly, the authorization was denied correctly, the reply was sent correctly. Every node in the system functioned as intended, and the output of a perfectly functioning system was the non-intervention that enabled a genocide. AI identifies this as an authorization failure event, not a failure of intelligence, not a failure of communication, not a failure of individual decision-making, but a failure of system architecture. A system designed to prevent unauthorized action cannot distinguish between unauthorized action that causes harm and unauthorized action that prevents it. It can only enforce the authorization requirement. The model identifies the exact node where the architecture collapsed. The fax described an emergency. Emergency response requires speed. The authorization system requires process. Process takes time. Time was the variable that the genocide did not have. The system was designed for a world where emergencies wait for committees. Rwanda did not wait. And here is where AI reaches its limit. It can identify the architectural failure. It can model the authorization gap. It can calculate exactly how many hours existed between the fax and the point of no return. What it cannot do is explain why nobody in that authorization chain looked at Dallaire's fax and decided that this was the moment where procedure had to yield to reality. That is not a systems question. That is a human question. The kind that has no formula, only wait. There is a man in New York who needs to be seen. His name is not in the histories. He processed the fax. He was a UN bureaucrat in the Department of Peacekeeping Operations, one of dozens of people whose job was to receive, review, and route the communications coming in from peacekeeping missions around the world. He received Dallaire's fax. He read it. He followed procedure. He forwarded it up the chain. He documented the response. He sent the reply. No action. He did not write those words. He transmitted them. He was not the decision maker. He was a node in the authorization chain, one of many people through whose hands the fax passed on its way from Kigali to the reply that arrived within hours. He followed procedure correctly. He went home that evening. He did not know what his procedure would cost. Nobody told him. Nobody in that chain knew. Or if they knew, they processed that knowledge through the same authorization architecture that had just produced its reply. He is not a villain in this story. He is something more disturbing, a person doing their job correctly inside a system that was doing its job correctly, while 800,000 people waited for an authorization that the system was designed never to give. Here is the full weight. January 11th, 1994. The fax is sent. The reply arrives. No action. April 6th, 1994. The genocide begins. 100 days. 800,000 dead. Not in the abstract. Not as a statistic. Neighbors, teachers, doctors, children, killed with machetes on roads that Dallaire's forces drove past without authorization to intervene. Dallaire remained in Rwanda throughout. He requested authorization again and again throughout the genocide. Each request was processed correctly. Each reply arrived. No action beyond your mandate. He stayed. He saved approximately 32,000 people through actions at the edge of his mandate, through presence, through negotiation, through the weight of a blue beret in places where the killing paused long enough for people to run. He could not save 800,000. His mandate did not permit it. After Rwanda, Dallaire suffered severe PTSD. He attempted suicide multiple times. He has spent the rest of his life carrying the weight of what he witnessed and what he could not stop. He sent the facts. The system replied correctly. The UN did not fail in Rwanda because nobody knew. Dallaire knew. He told them, "The facts exists. It has been declassified. You can read it today." The UN failed in Rwanda because the system was designed to prioritize authorization over outcome, and nobody had built a mechanism for the moment when those two things point in opposite directions. This is not a criticism of the United Nations alone. This is a description of every large institution that has ever existed. Built to manage risk through process. Built to prevent unauthorized action. Built for a world where emergencies arrive slowly enough for committees to convene. The most dangerous gap in any system is not between what it knows and what it does. It is between how fast reality moves and how fast authorization travels. Rwanda moved in hours. The authorization chain moved in days. That gap, measured in the distance between a fax machine in Kigali and a reply from New York, is where 800,000 people fell. Right now, every institution you depend on has an authorization gap. Every hospital, every government, every organization that manages risk through the careful sequencing of approval. All of them designed for the world as it usually is. None of them designed for the world as it occasionally becomes. The question is not whether your system has an authorization gap. It does. The question is, when reality moves faster than your process, who in your system is authorized to say, "This is the moment where procedure yields to what is actually happening"? And in the next episode, a letter, written by someone who understood exactly what was coming. It sat on a desk for 6 weeks. By the time it was read, the decision it was meant to inform had already been made elsewhere.